Thank you, everybody. If you can please take your seats, we're about to continue with our program here. First of all, we just need, after those two great matches, to congratulate our 4 schools for a wonderful morning here at Science Bowl. And our middle schools, first time ever here at the National Science Bowl, really acquitted themselves beautifully. And in terms of the Science Bowl elite, you don't do any better than Thomas Jefferson and Mira Loma. Congratulations, guys. Before Secretary Moniz gets here, and he is on his way, we're going to take time to recognize a lot of you that have distinguished yourself over the past couple of days. First of all, the Division Team Challenges. On Friday, all the high school teams participated in the Division Team Challenge Science activity. The number 1 ranked team from each of the 8 divisions will receive $500 for science supplies for their schools. I'd like for the winning teams to please stand as I call your name so we can give you appropriate recognition. In the Arrhenius Division from Appleton, Wisconsin, Appleton West High School. Where are you guys? Standing over there in their green shirts. From the Brommery Division, the Basis School in Scottsdale, Arizona. They're up there in peanut heaven. All right. The Curie Division's winner from North Hollywood, a former champion here on Science Bowl, North Hollywood High School. In the Darwin Division, the winner, they were not flown here, they were given Metro fare cards. They're from Silver Spring, Maryland, Montgomery Blair High School. In the Einstein Division, all the way from Honolulu, the Iolani School. Longtime competitor here on Science Bowl. There they are. In the Fermi Division, hailing from Corpus Christi, Texas, say hello to the W.B. Ray High School. W.B. Ray. They're way up there. Nice job. The Galileo Division's winner from Edinburgh, Texas, Edinburgh North High School. Right there. Nice job. And lastly, from the Hypatia Division, our winner from Plantation, Florida, American Heritage Plantation High School. Also, nice job. The middle school students also participated in an electric car competition. They designed, built, and raced model electric cars, as you all know. Competition tested engineering skills, and the students got hands-on experience with alternative fuel technology. The top 3 winners of the race received trophies and $500 for their school science departments at an award ceremony yesterday. And join me in congratulating the winner of Sunday's car race with a time of 6.14 seconds, the Speed Demons from Will James Middle School in Billings, Montana. Jen tells me that Secretary Moniz is in the house, and those of you that read the Washington Post this morning, you saw a big article about Secretary Moniz. He is a rock star. If you noticed recently, he was a guest at the White House at the state dinner with Prime Minister Abe of Japan. He was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You saw him in Lausanne, Switzerland with John Kerry with the Iran nuclear negotiations. And, maybe more importantly, he threw out the first pitch at the Red Sox game. Here to introduce Secretary Moniz is Undersecretary Lynn Orr. Lynn, come on up, please.
Well, good morning, everyone, and congratulations to the winning teams. The teams were fantastic. I have to say that I'm just blown away by their knowledge and their ability to respond in very short notice. And I was glad that it was them and not me and sitting in those hot seats. But I will also say that we are looking for good talent at the Department of Energy, and when those contestants have completed their college training and maybe their PhDs, then we'll be looking to hire them at the Department of Energy. So it's been a very exciting morning, and I'm delighted to be here. It's my pleasure now to just say a few words to introduce Secretary of Energy Ernest Moniz, to say a few words to you about the world at large, and to present the winning teams with their awards. Secretary Moniz is a nuclear physicist by training, and he spent his entire career working on the tough science and energy questions of our time. As Secretary of Energy, his job is to implement the President's goals of growing the economy, enhancing security, and protecting the environment, and doing it in a way that supplies the energy we all need to live our lives. He's doing this by implementing the President's all-of-the-above energy strategy, which is aimed at promoting American leadership in science and clean energy technology innovation, maintaining the nuclear stockpile, and cleaning up the legacy of the Cold War. Before becoming secretary, he was a faculty member for 30 years at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, and he served as the founding director of the MIT Energy Initiative. And he also spent some time as the undersecretary in the job that I have now at the Department of Energy during the Clinton administration. So needless to say, he has a very distinguished past, but believe it or not, he started out his career as a young science whiz, just like all of you. So who knows where you'll be in a few years' time, perhaps as Secretary of Energy or some other wonderfully important position. So please join me in welcoming Secretary Ernest Moniz.
Well, thank you, Lynn. Lynn himself joined us just at DOE a few months ago and from Stanford University, and we're having a great time working together. But I really appreciate being here with all of you. As Lynn said, I'm now, of course, the Department of Energy, and after spending 40 years at MIT, my current job is pretty exciting. But the one thing I have to say, just can't get over is missing the interaction with all the students, because that really is the great part about being involved in teaching and research, and I hope that many of you are going to have the opportunity, in fact, to continue your careers in science, and then ultimately be able to bring along the next generation. That'll be just tremendously rewarding, I can assure you. I do want to thank everybody who's made this possible, from our Office of Science and a whole lot of volunteers, but of course, most especially the coaches and the students who are here today, who have competed so hard, and some of you we'll be able to recognize in terms of winning the competition, but all of you really winning just by being part of this competition. I understand that we've had about 14,000 students involved in this Science Bowl from all 50 states, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, so really covering our entire country, including into the Caribbean. I'll just say a few words about my own background, just to say how a career in science can lead you in many unexpected ways. My direction was in many ways set in the aftermath of the Sputnik launch by the Soviet Union at that time, mainly because that led to a tremendous focus on improving our school, high school, middle school, science and mathematics education, So in my case, I was fortunate. I was at a public high school in my hometown of Fall River, Massachusetts, and the physics instructor, Mr. Dallaire, immediately jumped on the chance to pioneer a new approach to teaching physics. And frankly, since then, it's been just physics all the way. So we all know how a teacher, in your case, teachers and coaches, I think can make an enormous impact. I had a chance in high school. This is like all ancient history for you students, but in high school to visit Bell Labs, where a communication satellite called Telstar was under development, using solar panels to power it. Was really quite something. This is really the ancient history now. 3,600 solar cells for 14 watts of power. We've made quite some improvements since then, but nevertheless, there was really a tremendous step forward, and for me, very exciting. And just to carry on in the space theme, maybe that inspired me a few decades later, then to become involved with a small company that in fact had launched the first X-ray satellite and discovered X-ray sources in the universe. And that company now uses that technology to make detectors that have saved the lives of many American soldiers. So we never know where this pathway goes, but just following your instincts, doing good science, following the technology leads that may come from that really can be tremendously important for our country, but also tremendously rewarding and satisfying for each of you. Certainly that's been my experience for sure. Now today, I mentioned Sputnik as kind of what was viewed then as a potential major security issue for our country. Today, again, we have many other challenges that can inspire you and to which you can make huge contributions. I'll just mention one of them today, the issues of climate change. Climate change is a real threat to our societies if we don't really make tremendous progress in the clean energy revolution. We need new ideas, new technologies that reduce costs of things like solar energy. LED lighting is a great example of where costs have been coming down. You may see those in your home now, and lots of other technologies. So this is an example of a tremendous need for a continuing push in science and technology. At DOE, Department of Energy, we of course pursue these. As an example, our National Renewable Laboratory out near Denver has over the years had many of the world records for efficiency in driving solar photovoltaics. It's the kind of very fundamental science and engineering that, as I said, we'll need a lot of to go forward over these next decades to address climate change. Another example of the kinds of things that we do that might excite you, supercomputing. It's incredible. The Department of Energy has always been at the forefront of developing supercomputers. Right now, we are working to develop for the next decade, maybe you'll be some of the first users, what are called exascale capabilities, 10 to the 18th operations per second, and that will allow tremendous effort in all fields of science and engineering, including things like inventing new materials that will have a multiplicity of applications. So anyway, that's just a little bit of a flavor. Certainly, I've been at this, as was said, for over 40 years, and one never stops having fun and marveling, really, at the advances that are possible through science and technology. And of course, that's in turn only possible if we keep the talent coming, the pipeline, and that's what all of you represent So we are counting on you. I'm hoping that some of you will be part of our Department of Energy laboratories, helping make those tremendous breakthroughs that can solve our climate challenges, among many others. So that's just really a little bit of a flavor of certainly where I come from and of the excitement that I have seen over a number of decades of pursuing science. Again, I want to congratulate all of you for reaching these finals. And I think with that, we're going to move forward and kind of get the winners up here.
Great. Would you answer a few questions from the students?
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
We're not going to let the secretary get away quite yet. You've been asked questions now for the past couple of days. Now it is your chance to ask a secretary a question that's been burning. We have 3 microphones out there in the audience. If you have a question for Secretary Moniz, would you make your way toward that microphone? Would like to hear from you. It is hard to see. Can we see where the microphones are? We have one right in the back there. And young man, would you be good enough to identify yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I'm Fabian Mack. I'm coach for Westview High School from Portland, Oregon. And I had recently seen an unveiling of the Tesla Powerwall by Elon Musk. And in my opinion, I think it's absolutely revolutionary. It could replace, all the problems, or it tackles all the problems with solar power, cycling during the day and all that. And I was wondering if it's something that would need to be governmentally handled or maybe thrown into open market, or what do you think?
Great. Yeah, that was a very exciting announcement last week. For those of you who don't know what it was, so Tesla, of course, famous for the Tesla automobile, the S-car, the electric car, pretty spiffy electric car. Last week they announced also a home battery option. For example, 10 kilowatt hours of storage. And the question really comes as to, I think, what might this do, let's say, for a consumer? And B, the question that was asked, to what extent would the government be involved? Let me just note that the government, the Department of Energy, was very involved in helping Tesla reach this point. A few years ago, the department extended to them a $500 million, roughly, loan guarantee to get them going. They proved to be very successful. They paid back the loan 9 years early, and now we think that they're going to be off on their own trajectory without our further help. That was on the auto side. Now, on the home battery, let me just say a few things as to what having a home battery, an affordable home battery system can do for you, because it's quite a few things. For one thing, of course, it can just be backup power, so that if the grid goes out, you can keep essential functioning in your house to carry on. But you can do more things. Another thing you might do, if you live in a place where you pay for electricity according to what it really costs the producers. So, for example, at night, when there's very little being used, electricity is very cheap in reality. During the peak early evening hours, it's much more expensive. Now, in some places, of course, we just pay a flat rate. But as we go to paying appropriately, well, if you have a battery, you can charge it up at night when it's cheap and use it in the early evening when it's expensive. So you can earn back much of the cost, at least, of that battery. And a third area, the one that was mentioned, is that as we see an increase in, let's say, rooftop solar generation, well, of course, the sun may not be out in full force at the time you want to use it, use the electricity, because, for example, you might be at work at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So if you have like 10 kilowatt hours, you can, again, charge up that battery during the afternoon and then take advantage of that solar power in the evening. So there's multiple opportunities for applying this kind of technology. I think many were surprised at how low the cost was for the battery that Tesla is putting out. Although I will say that this is another example where we need more science and technology to get that cost down even more, so that it can become very, very widespread, and then having every home, in the future perhaps, with distributed energy storage would be a big revolution in how we use energy, and it can encourage much more solar energy.
It's a great question. Great question. Thank you. We have a young man over here. Could you identify yourself, please, and ask the question of the secretary?
Hi, I'm Jacob Myers. I'm a sophomore, and it was mentioned earlier that you were involved in the Iranian nuclear negotiations, so I'd like to ask what role you think science has to play in foreign policy and what those negotiations were like.
Okay, I certainly was, and frankly still am involved in those negotiations, and it may be surprising to some. Maybe. I can assure you it's surprising to some to hear, why is the Secretary of Energy involved in these Iran negotiations? It goes back to the theme of my remarks, and then I'll come back to answer the second part of your question. The Department of Energy really is the place, especially in our national laboratories, where the core of nuclear science and technology resides in this country. It's something that we've been doing for decades, and it's the kind of thing that often is done maybe below the radar, but this Iran negotiation has certainly brought it into full view. And it's really based upon the fact that we always maintain really talented people who understand all aspects of nuclear science and technology. So along comes the Iran negotiation, a very important one for regional and global security, and it's highly technical in terms of what we need to negotiate. Without getting into the details, although I can do so if you have an hour, it involves centrifuges and uranium stockpiles and nuclear reactors, and all of these things have to be traded off. So basically, my role was to work with the head of Iran's nuclear organization to see how we could make all these trade-offs so that we could accomplish our negotiating objective in terms of making sure that we could verify that Iran, if it chose to pursue a nuclear weapon, could not do so without our knowing in sufficient time to react. Now, how did I do that? I wasn't sitting there with a slide rule or calculator, to use old-fashioned tools, or a computer doing my own calculations. So what it meant was, quite literally, every day calling back, having our laboratory experts on call, and having them run through complex calculations quite literally every day for about 6 weeks, so that we could reach a, what we think at least is tentatively a very, very strong agreement. We could not do that without relying upon, again, having the scientific human capacity to do those analyses and to do them quickly and reliably.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that question. If science doesn't work out, young man, you'd be a good reporter. I like that. At this time, we're going to ask the secretary to stay up here on stage, and we're going to recognize our winning teams. So when we call your names, would you please come on up? We'll have a presentation and a photo op with the secretary. This is what we've been waiting for, the culmination of the National Science Bowl of 2015. You know, the 16 middle schools that advanced to double elimination on Saturday are going to receive $1,000 for their school science departments. The top 3 teams will receive a trophy, individual medals, and certificates. Join me now in congratulating the 3rd place team, Academy for Science and Design from Nashua, New Hampshire. Joining Secretary Moniz is Undersecretary Orr. Nicely done. Nicely done. You can take that giant check with you. Next, coming to the stage, we witnessed them this morning. A great group of competitors. They are named for, the school was named for Roberto Clemente. I remember watching him play in Pittsburgh, where I'm from, when I was a kid. He was a role model for many, and Roberto Clemente would be very proud of this team. Our 2nd place winner, Roberto Clemente Middle School from Germantown, Maryland. Come on up. Congratulations. The trophy, the $1,000, and individual medals for each of these winners, and all here for the very first time. What a debut performance. Roberto Clemente Middle School. All right. And now, also here for the very first time, first among all 48 middle schools from Sugar Land, Texas, please welcome Fort Settlement Middle School, our winner, Middle School 2015. There's a high school here from Sugar Land, Dulles High School, and I asked the guys if they were going to go to Dulles, and they said, no, we're going to the rival school, and we're going to beat them, and we'll be back next year. That's the kind of competitive spirit these guys have. Congratulations. Look at the smiles. Nicely done, everybody. And now we move on to our high schools. We changed the color of our Science Bowl shirts. The top 16 high schools will receive $1,000 for their school science departments. The top 3 teams will also receive a trophy, individual medals, and certificates. Join me now in congratulating the 3rd place team. Remember, we had 68 schools. These were the top 3. The 3rd place team from Storrs, Connecticut, Edwin O. Smith High School. Come on up, please. The check, the trophy. Good-looking group. Nicely done, guys. Congratulations. Next, coming to the stage is a school that has made this trip many times before. In fact, the coach of the team for 22 years, Sharon Webb, is sitting out here right now. She is so proud of this school. She now works for DOE. She volunteers. She's an Einstein Fellow. She is so proud of this team, as are we. Thomas Jefferson will be going on a 5-day science trip to Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks, including a fully guided adventure tour of Great Salt Lake Park, Yellowstone, and Grand Teton. Many adventures await them, including seeing Old Faithful, hiking the Continental Divide, and taking a boat trip down the Snake River. Would all like to go with you. Please welcome our second-place team. What a game they had. Thomas Jefferson High School for Science and Technology. Here they are. Their very proud coach, Mary Ann Doherty, joining them. Proud representatives of what is arguably the top science school in the Washington metropolitan area, and you can see why, because of their performance this morning. Congratulations. And speaking of a well-worn path up to the stage here at the National Science Bowl, today's winning team, Coach Hill told me, have actually made 8 trips up here. They came in third once, second twice, and now first place 5 times more than any other high school in our history. 1/5 of the championships belong to this school. They are going to get $1,000, a trophy, medals, certificates, a banner for the school. They're going to take a 9-day science trip to Alaska. They'll be exploring the Cooper River Delta, and I think you've been to Alaska before even. It sounds like you might be going back. Prize stocks and prolific runs of wild salmon, the mystical appeal of old growth, hemlock and spruce, hiking through the Chugach National Forest. They're going to whitewater raft on the Sheridan River and travel across Prince William Sound and the Orca Inlet, home to the world's largest population of sea otters. They are the pride of Sacramento and the pride of the National Science Bowl. Mira Loma, Sacramento, California. Very proud Coach Hill there with the team for 16 years. Tough final match there, and they never flagged, they never gave up. Spirit of a true champion. Mira Loma High School. Well done, guys. And we're bringing back out Fort Settlement, our middle school winner for the middle school division, for a joint picture. Come on back out, Fort Settlement. They're going to look at this picture later and say, who was the guy in the green shoes? They're looking good. They're looking good. Someone commented on my socks, so I had to say something about the shoes. Our winners, Mira Loma and Fort Settlement. What a group. Congratulations, guys. And before we dismiss, and you've been a wonderful audience here this morning, I would be remiss if I didn't recognize not just Coach Hill and Coach Webb and all the other coaches. Would we have all the coaches, please? We haven't recognized you. Would you all stand so we can tell you how much we appreciate what you've done? All of the coaches. Wow. All right, thanks to all the coaches and all the volunteers in the Department of Energy for what they've done here. And I just hope you've all had a good time and that you'll always remember this and that you'll come back as a competitor or as an alum to help out in the future. I'm going to turn this over to Jan. And Jan, you're going to be giving dismissal? Yes, sir. All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. If you can please take your seats, we're about to continue with our program here. First of all, we just need, after those two great matches, to congratulate our 4 schools for a wonderful morning here at Science Bowl. And our middle schools, first time ever here at the National Science Bowl, really acquitted themselves beautifully. And in terms of the Science Bowl elite, you don't do any better than Thomas Jefferson and Mira Loma. Congratulations, guys. Before Secretary Moniz gets here, and he is on his way, we're going to take time to recognize a lot of you that have distinguished yourself over the past couple of days. First of all, the Division Team Challenges. On Friday, all the high school teams participated in the Division Team Challenge Science activity. The number 1 ranked team from each of the 8 divisions will receive $500. In the Einstein division, all the way from Honolulu, the Iolani School. Longtime competitor here on Science Bowl. There they are. In the Fermi division, hailing from Corpus Christi, Texas, say hello to the W.B. Ray High School. W.B. Ray. They're way up there. Nice job. The Galileo Division's winner from Edinburgh, Texas, Edinburgh North High School. Right there. Nice job. And lastly, from the Hypatia Division, our winner from Plantation, Florida, American Heritage Plantation High School. Also, nice job. Carry with the Iran nuclear negotiations, and maybe more importantly, he threw out the first pitch at the Red Sox game. Here to introduce Secretary Moniz is Undersecretary Lynn Orr. Lynn, come on up, please.
Well, good morning, everyone, and congratulations to the winning teams. The teams were fantastic. I have to say that I'm just blown away by their knowledge and their ability to respond in very short notice. And I was glad that it was them and not me and sitting in those hot seats. But I will also say that we are looking for good talent at the Department of Energy, and when those contestants have completed their college training and maybe their PhDs, then we'll be looking to hire them at the Department of Energy. So it's been a very exciting morning, and I'm delighted to be here.
$100 for science supplies for their schools. I'd like for the winning teams to please stand as I call your name so we can give you appropriate recognition. In the Arrhenius Division from Appleton, Wisconsin, Appleton West High School. Where are you guys? Standing over there in their green shirts. From the Brommery Division, the Basis School in Scottsdale, Arizona. They're up there in peanut heaven. All right. The Curie Division's winner From North Hollywood, a former champion here on Science Bowl, North Hollywood High School. In the Darwin division, the winner, they were not flown here, they were given Metro fare cards. They're from Silver Spring, Maryland, Montgomery Blair High School. The middle school students also participated in an electric car competition. They designed, built, and raced model electric cars, as you all know. Competition tested engineering skills, and the students got hands-on experience with alternative fuel technology. The top 3 winners of the race received trophies and $500 for their school science departments at an award ceremony yesterday. And join me in congratulating the winner of Sunday's car race with a time of 6.14 seconds, the Speed Demons from Will James Middle School in Billings, Montana. Jen tells me that Secretary Moniz is in the house, and those of you that read the Washington Post this morning, you saw a big article about Secretary Moniz. He is a rock star. If you noticed recently, he was a guest at the White House at the state dinner with Prime Minister Abe of Japan. He was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You saw him in Lausanne, Switzerland with John